Hello everybody, it's Max McAllister here, and this is part 6 of my video series on how I'm building a raised bed garden on a useless hillside at my house. And today I'm going to show you how I put drip hose irrigation into my livestock watering trough raised beds here that I use. These are plastic tubs made by Rubbermaid, 50 gallon. We've gone over that in some of earlier videos. And we're going to have our hoses come off of automatic timers, and we'll talk about that in another video. But we're going to do this layout here, and this comes out of one 25-foot piece of soaker hose, and I'm going to show you the basic stuff and how we do it real quick. So you need the 25 feet of soaker hose. In my instance, I'm going to secure some of this stuff with zip ties to the housing on my tubs. So we're going to need a way to clamp the hose when I cut it to a T, some wire cutters, some zip ties, and some hold down stakes. So the way I do this, I start at your spigot, or if you've got a timer, there's an end on the water hose that has a little restrictor in it. Don't take that out. It has to be there. It's very important because you only want water dripping out of these. You don't want like pressurized water in the hose. So I connect that hose, and basically I want to kind of help the hose lay. So I'm going to take and run a drill through the plastic so that I can use some light zip ties to secure it. In a couple places now, I've done a few of these already, so I've got a plan, so this will go quickly here while you're watching. Now, next I'm going to lay kind of a central artery down the center of the tub like this, and then I'm going to take a few zip ties and I'm going to secure this. Now, one trick to the zip ties: don't cinch them on the hose, just let them grip the hose. Okay, we're just looking to hold it in place. Nobody's going to be wrestling with these hoses or, you know, really disturbing them, particularly if you have a gate like we do to keep our dogs out so they don't come. Our dogs, if they've gotten in here, literally get on the beds and walk from left to right. So they're now fully and permanently banned from here. So once you've got some zip ties in place, I like to trim the zip tie and then roll it out of the way. A lot of people leave a really sharp edge. Just roll it down out of the way. I have a way where I take the edge of the cutter, put it on the zip tie, hold the other edge down to the back of the zip tie and smear it off. It leaves no sharp, jagged edge. And then I tuck that out of the way. Not only does it look nicer, but it's safer for everybody who's got their hands in the bed. All right, now I'm just using a couple of these stakes. Now our dirt is very loose and fluffy because it's brand new and it hasn't had a chance to settle. So these don't really dig in very tightly, let's say. I guess their dog's sunset and the dogs are listening to the squirrels in the forest behind us. All right, so we kind of lay this artery out. I've got this nifty tool, comes in a set that cuts PVC and pipes and tubes. But you can do this with a razor blade, a pair of scissors, anything. You could use wire cutters. This just does a really pretty job. So we're going to end up with kind of a radius around here. So I'm trying to maintain that imaginary radius around here. So I'm going to cut this hose off. We've got these, in this case, 3/8 T, plastic T. It's just a plain old 3/8 T from Home Depot. It's going to go in there in a minute. And now what I do with the hose, when you cut off the end, most soaker hoses will work this way. You can crimp them off with just a zip tie or a piece of safety wire or something of that nature. Now, me being the person who overdoes everything, I put 2 zip ties on here just in case one ever slipped off or who knows what. There really is no pressure in these hoses, so it's not like that it's going to do that. The hose normally has one end that's still got a cap and an end on it, but I chopped that off with me so I could go to Home Depot and walk around and actually plug a fitting in to make sure that I had the fittings that would fit my particular hoses that I bought. Nothing worse than going to the Home Depot, buying all the stuff you think you need, and coming home and then it doesn't actually fit. So I cut a little piece off the end of this hose before I started and carried it right into the Home Depot with me, and did my shopping and got the right fittings. All right, so now I've got these two ends that are now sealed and ready to go. And I'm just gonna hold them together, walk this hose backwards, find the seam, and then I'm gonna let this relax and cut it. And that's the end of that tool for this job. I'm gonna take my T, and this hose, we let it sit out in the sun to just kind of relax because it's been coiled up, but it still has, you know, a natural kind of feel to the coil to it, resistance one way, coil to the other. I'm making this T so that the natural coil is still there, the arch, because I'm going to lay it in the tub like this. All right. Now I'm gonna. These are likely to never come apart, but you know, over time, if they soften up or loosen up in the sun, I wouldn't want them to pop apart. So I'm going to take some thin wire. You can use a zip tie or whatever to do this, and you're gonna just twist this wire to act as a little kind of hose clamp on this. All right, I'm gonna nip this off closely, and then the safety wire will cut the daylights out of you. So take the nose of the pliers and push the wire down into the hose very aggressively. Otherwise, someday you or your wife or whoever's working in the garden is going to find that, get stabbed, and you'll be bleeding everywhere. So, sorry to bore you with this part, but just so I get it all done and show you just how quickly you can do an entire bed from start to finish. These are safety wire pliers, but I'm only doing a couple things. When you do this, do it just tight enough to where you see the wire bite down into the hose. You don't have to go crazy tightening it, just enough that it bites in and it will never ever let go. Again, really take the nose of some sort of pliers or a pair of pliers and grip them and really cram that sharp edge down into the hose so you can't get stabbed with it. We're going to cut this last piece off. Now we're going to kind of gently lay this up, particularly since my wife has already planted some potatoes in here. And we're going to push this in here. Actually, I shouldn't have put that there. And the last piece of safety wire goes here. Now, you know, while we're new at this, so we've been watching all kinds of different people. One of the tips I got, if you're doing long runs of soaker hose, they may not flow evenly. So that's one of the reasons I chose to send this water line up to the middle and then split it out into a T. So if I was to just try and make a big long S, some people say at the end of the S, you might not get equal flow. So in this case, I just made a T, so it'll kind of spread the pressure. In the end, if my hose still does not flow evenly, all I have to do is buy another T or two at Home Depot and just T these right in here, and we'll have a fully closed loop system if you actually couldn't get proper flow. So we're kind of using a system around here of planting, you know, generally down these rows like this. So once our soil settles more, these clamps will bite better. But right now it's so fluffy and loose and dry, actually, because we have not watered it, that in time we will actually have a much better. These will bite harder, and then we'll have a better idea of how they work. Now, you don't want to kink the hose, but you can help it make a little bit of a turn if you need to. Just flex each little area a little bit. And I'm going to do that here as well to get around this potato hole. And the other beauty of these little sticks is you can just grab this stuff and move it. If you're not happy with your hose placement, once your plants come up. And so, see, I'm not zip tying these down in case we have to shift them wider or thinner. We don't know, because we're new gardeners, and we got to see where things lie when they get done, once they actually pop up, when hopefully they pop up, and we have some stuff growing. And this completes my bed. And then if we ever wanted to actually till up this soil, or mix some new stuff in the spring to refreshen it or whatever, this thing just lifts right out. You unscrew it, cut the 3 zip ties and take the little hooks out, and just pick it up and I can hang it over the fence and do all the work I want and just lay it right back in there. So this is my drip hose irrigation for 2 of my beds. And as you can see, we've got that on all 16 of our beds now. We're going to add it to our 2 bonus bins down on the end as we get another couple hoses here. That we'd only planned on the 16. So, well, cool. My name's Max. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you have friends who are gardeners, please share. And if you know more about gardening than I do, please feel free to post in the comments below. And subscribe, and we'll keep you up to speed on what we're doing here at this garden.